What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we've got to talk about Palafox. And I'm not even, normally I have like a loose kind of a script thing that I go over, but today, um, I'm just winging it because the conversations around Palafox recently have been crazy. I'm actually sad I didn't make this video before, obviously, the C9 series, because now it looks like I don't want to say that I'm like hopping on the bandwagon after he whooped Loki's ass, but it would have looked better obviously if I call it before it happens. But it didn't surprise me at all because obviously this started when Palafox said, I don't like the way the casters talk about me. Yada, they say I'm trash when I'm not, and all this stuff. And honestly, I don't like that. I don't like, bro. I think Dom said he was obviously just like in a bad mood and giving bad mood answers, and it did read that way. But like for him, I think he's got to shore up that like I don't know if it's like him caring about it or like him just like not even thinking about it. Like even if he's got to do his best not to like think or talk about that shit because that's not a good look for you or your brand or anybody really. That's just not a good look. Um, but and I don't even think the casters really say that. Like, and he's been having a down year. Like, he hasn't been playing badly because he's a great player, and so his down year isn't like a bottom tier player. But he's been having a down year, at least up until a little more recently. But especially starting in the first split, and then he's steadily gotten better. But after those comments, there's a lot of different stuff. I saw some crazy takes about Palafox. I saw some absolutely wild shit people were saying, like, we're disrespecting one of the great NA mids of this generation. One of the best North American born mids of all time. I know Dom said Palafox is he's like one of the best of the North American, but worse than all the Koreans. And it's just not true, right? And I think it's easier to come to that conclusion when you're in scrims with these people because in scrims, laning matters much more. And a lot of these Korean mids like Loki, and Quid and Quad, and I'm saying those two are a little weird right now because they're both having like kind of bad years. Matters a lot more in scrims, I feel like, and it's going to look like that they're better players than Palafox. But the reality is that it's just that's not where the game ends. That's not the entire game, and on stage, they aren't stopping him in lane. He's had obviously some bad games, and he has like some weird ends, but he always figures out ways to come back and be really relevant in a lot of those games. Um, and overall, I mean, well, first let's talk about the worsening agreements. That includes guys like Caney. There's no world in which you actually believe that. I assume he just wasn't including him. Um, in terms of Quid and Quad and Loki, it's weird because Quad was better than him last year, and there's been times where you could argue Quid was better than him too, but at the same time, we've seen Palafox absolutely like dominate Korean mids. So the idea that's not the case, like he just did to Loki. Now it wasn't a complete domination. Loki got the better of him in game one. But in a lot, like in some of the other games, Palafox was smashing Loki. And Loki does this thing, and this isn't about Loki, this video, but Loki has a pretty bad habit of, I don't know if he gets impatient or what, but he gets caught a lot before fights. Like, not caught isn't always the right term, but he finds himself in bad spots in team fights a lot. It's actually, I would argue, the reason they lost to FlyQuest in the last split. Really close games. I think it was the Aurora game, man. Loki got so fed on Aurora early, and he just couldn't do anything. And I think Loki's a great player, but he's a young player, and he's not used to these kind of things. And Palafox, much better team fighter. Palafox is honestly, when he's on, and some Golden Glue said as well, like when he's on, like he's that guy. We've seen like some amazing highs from Palafox, and to take that away because, like, okay, and to put it also in perspective, Dom said that he puts him in the same tier as guys like Demonte and a Blaze Olive. And that might be the most disrespectful shit I've ever heard for somebody like Palafox, who dominated Caps in a best of three to qualify for the World's group stage. You know, there was a reason Zhao Hu was calling this man a powerful genius. Like, this man, we're talking about Palafox beating Korean mids, he dumpstered Eminez in that finals that they won. Like, Palafox won. It's not just that he won his title. Like, winning the title matters, but it's not just that he won his title, right? He won his title when nobody thought they were going to win the title, when he was playing with not the best players in the region, not on the best team, and because of his performances, because of the way he was playing, especially in that finals and up throughout. And then he went to Worlds and made it out of the group stage, dominating G2 and the best Western mid of all time to get there. And that mid jungle was the main reason that EU won. Now, a lot of contracts was also smashing Yike, and that was a bigger gap. But that's just because Caps is better than Yike, right? Palafox was outplaying Caps, and to compare that player to a Blaze Olive and Demonte, and Demonte I thought is maybe a little underrated. And the Blaze Olive, I never thought that guy really had anything going for him. Like, I mean, he was okay, but he wasn't like Saligo or one of these guys who shouldn't even have been in the league. But to compare Palafox to that, who's much closer to pole belter than he is to those guys, is like astonishing. It's like actually astonishing that he would do that. Palafox is the only NA player, North American one player I've ever seen play Jace. I'm like, wow, that guy can play Jace. Like, some of his like team fights where he looks like a Korean or Chinese Jace player. It's pretty insane. He's fantastic on the Yone. He's fantastic on like a lot of these playmakers. Obviously, it sucks things like Nico been taken out of the mid lane for him. But he's so good in these playmakers and team fights. He finds such good angles. And that is a super valuable skill. That is the whole reason, by the way, that Faker wins as many worlds as he is. We think back to the Azir play on Ruler, right? Like, that's what this guy, like you've got to be able to make plays, especially when it matters. And Palafox has consistently done that. And so the idea that, like, to take that away because he might lose some lanes to Korean players is, like, really, really, really disingenuous about reading the game. And it's really terrible. And it's not, a lot of people are down on Palafox. And he's been having a down year. And earlier I was thinking about it, like watching the Shopify games, like, do they replace Palafox? Because he was performing earlier on as one of the worst players on the team. But I don't think, like we saw it especially in that Young game against Dig, right? Because I was thinking maybe for that Dig series, or not Dig, sorry, 100 Thieves, with the 100 Thieves series, where you could tell his coach picked him, Annie. He didn't want to play Addy there. He looked a little like he was protesting, which he shouldn't do, but you could tell that he did not want to play Eddie. And then the next game, he's like, just pick me on. Just pick me on. I'm better than this motherfucker Quid. I'm better than these guys. And he ran the whole game by himself, and that's what he can do. And the idea that, like, and by the way, the 100 Thieves players are good players. He wasn't running the game against, the Dignitas players or something. They've got a couple of guys that are okay, or even the DSG players. He was running the game against a team that was in the finals and split one. Like, what are we talking about? It's hard, and I don't know Palafox, and he doesn't seem like, I don't like the fact that he got so mad about what the casters were saying. And they're allowed to criticize him all he wants. The stuff he was saying about, you shouldn't talk if you're only looking to, if you're not saying positive things and that garbage, that's all garbage. You could say positive, negative, whatever you want. Just give your opinion. You know what I mean? People could take that shit as they will. But this idea that he's like a mid-tier player, he's like a middling player, is insane. It's like completely taking away. It's like only focusing on the negatives and taking away the amazing performances that he's had and the great players that he's outplayed. Like, from going toe-to-toe with Zhao Hu to now you're saying he's with a Blaze Olive. Like, what are we really doing here? It's just not right. So, yeah, we've got to give Palafox his respect. He's one of the best mid laners we've seen North American-born mid laners in a while. You know, obviously, I don't know what generation you really put them in. Probably, you know, with these guys like JoJo and APA. But it's, you know, it's those three of North American born recently that have performed well. Um, Obviously, there's been a lot of imports, but you know, we gotta give him the respect for the things that he's done. And you know, he's obviously gotten to play with a great jungler in contracts. But that's a topic for another video. Yeah. Hopefully this, you know, hopefully the narrative will change a little bit because he deserves it. He's a great player. Focus on blocking out that noise and, you know, cleaning up maybe some of the ints and keeping focus. He could win another title. I could definitely see it. But yeah, enjoy the video, give it a like and subscribe, and see you on the next one. Peace.